What is your, perspective as far as end times prophecy? Do you kind of give emphasis to one section of scripture more than another, or think, maybe we should use something as more of our jumping off point, or like, what's your kind of viewpoint as far as?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The book of Revelation should, first of all, the New Testament should be paramount, but especially the book of Revelation should be paramount, and then the epistles, and then the gospels before we start talking about anything in the Old Testament. The New Testament is paramount, and especially the book of Revelation. And I will say this, that, if there's any point of prophecy in the book of Daniel or Ezekiel or Jeremiah or anywhere else that doesn't have an analog in the New Testament, then it probably has no future significance. So, for example, when we're reading Daniel chapter 11, and there's all this stuff about the king of the north and the king of the south and all this back and forth, I think it's pretty safe to say that that stuff all happened back then and doesn't have any significance for the future, because none of that is repeated in the New Testament. Okay. But these guys will say that, like, oh, well, that's how Daniel's 70th week is. It's not repeated in the New Testament. That's absurd, because you have tons of this number in the New Testament. You have tons of talk about 3.5 years and 3.5 years, with this big event punctuating them in the middle. So if you got 3.5, big event, 3.5, and you have that over and over in Revelation, not just one time. I mean, look at chapter 11, look at chapter 12, look at chapter 13. It hammers these numbers about 1,260 days, 42 months, time, and half a times, which is 3.5 years. 1,290 days, 1,260 days, 42 months. These numbers are getting hammered. So to sit there and say, nope, no 70th week here, nothing to see here, no 7-year period being described, anybody can see that there's a 7-year period described. Now, of course, these post-millennial, millennial types might just say, like, oh, it's just figurative, 7's an ideal number, 1,000's an ideal number, but they just don't even believe in a millennium. They just think it's all figurative, it's all symbolic, none of it's actually going to happen. Well, if you actually believe this stuff is going to happen, well, then, there's a 7-year period described in Revelation, punctuated in the middle. Kind of sounds like Daniel's 70th week. And then it fits perfectly with the Antichrist and the false prophet setting up an image in Revelation 13. It fits like a glove.